Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Warhammer Warcry for the channel. This is my timed exclusive series on the channel that is available more or less on the exact day it's filmed to channel members as a thank you for them being willing to go above and beyond to support the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Everyone else, you'll be seeing this about a week later, but you will eventually see it. It is eventually free to everyone. It's just a little bit of a timed exclusive as a small way of saying thank you to those who are willing to spare a little extra at this time of year. I very much greatly appreciate it. Thank you. And this week we have a matchup between the Skaven and the Thunderstrike Stormcast, the latter of which is actually using a legal list this time, although it does mean they're leaving some points on the table, but I guess we can get into the specifics of that in a moment. Playing on the table layout you can see before you, and as per usual we will also randomise the deployment and the objective from the core rulebook, but we are using the up-to-date rulebook as far as rules go. Not that we've ever remembered to do a reaction, but one day it will happen, I promise. And now, before we look at the sides, here's a brief word from the channel sponsor. Please do consider giving them a look. This video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. Check out the video description below for an affiliate link that will take you through to their store, and it will help me out as well. Thanks. So to avoid confusion this time, the two warbands have been broken into their battle groups from left to right. Dagger, shield, hammer. Last time they were just kind of set up to look nice, but the groups had already been decided, but because that wasn't stated on camera it created confusion, so they are broken up into that now. And here we have the Skaven, a majority of which are taken up by Skabek's Plague Pack, the Warhammer Underworlds crew. The rules for using them in Warcry are in White Dwarf issue 492. It's the same one that has Domitan and others that we've talked about. So that entire warband, including Skabek, who's one of the heroes, and Rabidus, and then insert other names here. For the other four, the two chaff ones, the one with the plague sensor bear, and then their little rat pet, they're there as well, and they are joined though by a warlock bombardier on the left here, and then a death master as the other two heroes filling those slots and also taking them up to, I think it was 990 points, if not close to 1,000, closer than the other side is getting. And as I say, these three are the sword, these three are the hammer, and these two are the shield. And here are the Thunderstrike Stormcast, and as I said at the top of the video, last time they were on the table just because of what was painted, there was an illegal list because it had 4 heroes, not 3, but they still lost really badly, so it doesn't really matter. But this time it is a legal list. That means they are leaving some points on the table. I think it's like 60 points or something. There is absolutely more efficient ways to make a list, but again, this is just to 1, have it legal, and 2, have it usable with what's currently painted. Eventually it'll be a lot easier to do, but for now we have the Lord Imperatant as one of the heroes. We have Domitan from his Storm Coven, and we have Leona from his Storm Coven. They're being joined by a simple Gryph-hound, who we saw last time they were on the table, and a Praetor, which is kind of a cheaper Stormcast. And for brevity's sake, we'll probably just refer to them in general as Stormcast. Broken into sword, shield, and on her lonesome, the hammer over here. I think that covers everything for them. So with that, let's randomise ourselves a mission. So we're going to randomise ourselves the deployment, or rather not that one, sorry, because scenery's already been set up. The deployment and then the objective, but first of all, again, just to cover it in the right order on camera, both sides have rolled off. Skaven won the roll off and are choosing to be the attacker in whatever happens. So, 1 to 3, 4 to 6. Alright, it's left page this time. If we get one we've done before, we'll probably roll again. Unseen Blade. I don't think we've done this one. So the shields actually start within 6 inches of each other on the front, and they're the only ones on the table in round 1. Huh. Okay, interesting. So the hammer and daggers come on in round 2, so it's going to be a very quick round 1 then. And the shields for both sides are probably their weakest. Actually no, for the Skaven it's Rabidus and Skabek. So they've got a distinct advantage over Leona then, because Leona's the only one starting on the table. Alright, but what are they doing though? That's the other important part. So it's Unseen Blade, 1 to 3, 4 to 6. So left page again, okay. And it is Vanquish. That sounds very simple. And let's see, a player wins the battle as soon as every fighter in their opponent's hammer is taken down. Hammer. So actually, oh no, their last one was hammer, wasn't it? The middle one was shield. Sorry, I'm forgetting. So for the Skaven, their shield is the Deathmaster and the 2 little guys, and the shield for the Stormcast are the Lord Imperatant and the Gryph-hound. So actually, it is going to be a bit more of a brawl than I thought. but it's when everybody in their opponent's hammer is taken down, which does still give the Skaven the advantage because that is just Leona versus Rabidus and Skabic. So 2 need to go down for the Skaven, 1 need to go down for the Stormcast. Granted, she is fast and can fly, so she can kind of control where she is. But at the end of the 4th battle round and each subsequent battle round, any hammer fighters within 4 inches of the edge of the battlefield count as being dead. So that's just to stop them running away from the 4th turn, basically. Don't make an injury for them, they're just taken out. Alright, so it's simple. They have to kill certain people. It's not the ones that start on the table because it's the shields that are starting on the table. So the objective only becomes attainable from round 2 onwards. We'll get that all set up and be back. So deployment is done, and we can zoom in real close because there's so few models on the table at the start of the fight with everyone else coming in at round 2. Now it is important to note the defender's shield, which in this case is the Stormcast, set up with their icon 6 inches back left from the centre, and then they can deploy within 3 of that. So obviously you can see where the Lord Impertinent and his Gryph-hound have set up. Skabic's Plague Pack, they've sent in the Deathmaster, Death Hunter, I've already forgotten what he's called, and his 2 little rats. You know, we should probably look up the names of the chaff rats from Skabic's Plague Pack. They'll have names until they don't, which is when they die. They are absolutely known as, let's see, that is Poxlix, which is the one with the 2 blades, and then the one holding up the gas is Itchit, because he makes everybody scratch. So they've set up similarly 6 inches back within 3, but the defender's shield has their back exposed to where the dagger of the opponent comes in, and vice versa. So the Skaven dagger at the top of round 2 is coming in on the edge of a table behind the Lord Impertinent, and the Stormcast are coming in behind the Skaven on the right of your screen. The hammers, which are the important ones for victory, the Skaven hammer will be appearing right at the bottom of the table in the centre, or rather within 3 inches of the central line at the edge of the table, and Leona will be coming in within 3 inches of up here from round 2. So will they try and kill each other turn 1? Will they focus on getting into position for where the hammers come in, because the hammers dying are the important part? I don't know. We're going to go to the dice and see who's getting first activation. So as we are about to go into battle round 1, here's how the dice shook out for both sides. Skaven are in the black dice this time. They rolled a double 5 and a double 3. They used their wild die to make a triple 5 because they have a very scary triple called, I think, Running Death or something like that, which left them with 2 singles. The Stormcast had a triple 3 and they've used their wild die to make a double 6, leaving them also with 2 singles. If that ever happens, what it comes down to is just a straight roll off, and whoever wins that gets to choose first activation. And the Skaven have already won the roll. We did it off camera, so the Skaven are taking first activation as we go into battle round 1, and we'll see what their tactics are, because they've just got a round to kill until the actual target arrives. So the Skaven got the game started with, of course, choosing violence, such is their desire, and Itchit activated first, moving, I don't even think he moved his full 6 inches, but he has 6 inches to play with, from here over to here, and he has a ranged attack. It's a sensor bearer, I guess, minimum range 3, maximum range 8, it's only 2 dice at strength 2, and because the Lord Impertinent was in cover, he was hitting at toughness 6, and well, 5 to start with, and then the cover made it 6, so he was still basically just needing 5s and 6s, and he managed to whiff. He then spent his double, the double 3 that the Skaven had, on a Skabic Plagueback specific double called Disgusting Appearance, similar I guess to the one in Blood Bowl. It is -1 to the tank characteristic to a minimum of 1 for fighters that target this fire, to give him a little bit of protection if the Lord Impertinent decides to go bonk him on the head with that staff of his. The Lord Impertinent decided to see how things played out, and his Gryph-hound activated, moving 6 inches as a first action to engage with Itchit, losing 1 die on each attack, but hitting its strength 4, 4 attacks at strength 4 with his beak and claws. He didn't manage to get any crits, but he did do 3 damage, which is obscured by the Lord Impertinent's head, but I show you it's there, into Itchit. And then he spent their double 6 on a darting attack. This fighter may make a bonus attack action, then they can make a bonus disengage. Essentially getting 4 actions in 1 turn, which is where the Gryph-hound shines, I think. So he attacked again, once again not being able to land a crit, but did do, actually, that shouldn't be there, did do 3 more wounds for a total of 6 to Itchit, who has... How many wounds do these little Skaven have? They have 12 wounds. So he's lost half his wounds, and now that disengage action, just now that we've talked about it, just going to put him a few inches back, roughly there. We'll measure it properly in a second. So for the second of their 3 massive activations in Battle Round 1, the Skaven activated Poxlix, the guy with the 2 daggers, and he just moved from the right ear screen next to the bell there, over to the left, as if expecting perhaps that someone who they want to murder might appear in the next turn. So he's just getting into position to start trying to hunt Leona. The Lord Imperator activated and moved his 4 inches up over this. He's so much chunkier than this, we didn't say it impaired his movement because he is much taller than a couple of spaces in it. So he moved there. Then he used his ranged attack on the Deathmaster, minimum range 3, maximum 15 I think. 4 dice strength 4 against toughness 3. And he rolled a crit and 2 hits, I believe it was, and it's a 1-4 weapon for a total of 6 wounds to the Deathmaster that you can't see because he's obscured by the church here. But he has taken 6 damage of his 18 wounds. Skaven don't have a lot of wounds, relatively speaking. So already taking us to the end of Battle Round 1, the Deathmaster activated and spent that triple on running death. The fighter makes a bonus move action or disengage action. In addition, he adds 1 to damage allocated by his crits this turn, which turns his Weeping Blades from 2-4 to 2-5. He charged in with that bonus move. He's got 7 inches of movement, which is fast for Warcry. Got within an inch of the Lord Imperator and assaulted him twice because that was a bonus move action. His Weeping Blades are 5 attacks at strength 3 going up against toughness 5, so he was needing 5s and 6s. He got a very disappointing result with his first set of attacks, scoring just 2 regular hits for... that should be 4 damage. Somebody can't count. One of these should be... There we go. Should be 4 damage, much like that. But his second set of 5 attacks had 3 crits and no normal hits, which did a casual 15 more wounds to the Lord Imperator. I hope that's in view right there. So in total, he took 19 wounds from that deadly attack from the Deathmaster, putting him dangerously close to death. I think he has 25 wounds, and taking us to the end of the first round. So as we set up for round 2, the reinforcements come on with the daggers appearing at the backs of their opposing enemy shields, and the hammers appearing at the opposite ends of top and bottom of the table. So Rabidus and Skabic, the targets for the Stormcast, are down on this end. Leona, the sole target for the Skaven, is up at that end, and their reinforcements, Domatan and the Praetor, are within 3 of this edge of the table, hoping to get over there and help as soon as possible. And then we are going to have to move the camera a little bit here just to see the Skaven reinforcements, the Warlock Engineer, and let's get the actual names of these other 2. I'm going to have to cross the camera light, apologies. Skritter the Rat, and then also Bricket. That is the other rats that have come on there. Now we'll go roll dice. And here's how the dice shook out for turn 2. The Skaven rolled a double 6 and had 4 singles. They used their wild die for the turn to make that into a triple, potentially to do that same skill again since it worked out so well in the first turn. The Stormcast rolled a triple 5 and a double 2, meaning they had absolutely no chance of taking first action, which is disastrous, but as a result they opted just to use their wild die to make another double into from the 3 there rather, so they've got a double 3, a double 1 and a triple 5. Poxlix got round to started moving into within an inch of Leona in order to feloniously assault her with his Plague Blades. Not super strong. They are 4 at strength 3 going up against, sorry for covering the light again there, a toughness 5 miniature with 28 wounds. Leona is no pushover, she is tanky at the very least. He didn't get any crits, he was needing 5 pluses anyway, but he did get 1 normal hit through for a singular wound, so she's got 27 left. First activation of the second round for the Stormcast was the Lord Imperator, who really wanted to take that Deathmaster out of the equation with how deadly he can be. And in close combat, which he was in, he can attack with his Blessed Warhammer, which is 4 attacks at strength 4 versus toughness 3, so he's only needing 3 pluses. Damage 2, or on crits it's a massive 5 damage. It wouldn't take many crits to take down the Deathmaster. It would have been nice if he'd rolled even 1. First attack did 6 more wounds. across. Actually, did he get a crit there? No, I don't think he did. No, that was just 3 basic hits for a total of 6 damage. And then in his second set of attacks, he got 2, rolling under average there for sure. But still managing to take the Deathmaster to what? He's got 6, 12, 15, 16. He has a whole 2 wounds left, but that does mean he's going to get a turn, which could be bad for Leona because he is scary. So of course the Deathmaster was the next to activate for the Skaven. We're going to have to follow his movements here. He started roughly here. He once again did Running Death, spending that 666 the Skaven had in order to do it, taking a bonus disengage action, so you just have to move, as long as you move away from whoever you're engaged with, and you're not going to within an inch of someone else's on the enemy side, you can basically just go whenever. So he moved up onto here, then he did a movement action of 7 inches up the table, going after Leona, which is up there. Now he couldn't actually get within an inch of her, but he has a ranged option. He's got some Clanation throwing stars, 3 of them at strength 3, needing 5s and 6s to wound her anyway because she's tough as nails. Doing 1 damage on a normal hit, 4 on a crit, and he was, well, 5 on a crit because he used the Running Death, but he managed to whiff. He did not land any successes on her at all, which is a bit of a reprieve. Now, she's not locked in combat with the Deathmaster, but she would have to do a disengage if she wanted to get away from Poxlix, which would mean going that way because of where he's positioned himself. So her best option might be just to try and fight Poxlix. I don't think she'll be able to kill him in 1 set of attacks. He's got 12 wounds. I don't know. She's got some options. She could also just chill now because I don't think any of the other Skaven can potentially get within threat range. We'll need to see. With options weighed up, it was the Gryph-hound to activate. Moving into base-to-base combat with Itchit, who was already partially wounded from turn 1, and attacking him with the double from before, the darting attack. You make a bonus attack action, then can make a bonus disengage. The attack did 9 damage on top of the 6 he had. That meant that Itchit is the first actual casualty on the table and is murderized. For his other actual action, because that was bonus, the Gryph-hound then just did another move and locked the Deathmaster in combat just to try and pin him down a little bit because he couldn't sneak past him to get to Poxlix, so better to do that with his other action, it felt like. So this is about the best angle we can get for what happened next. The Warlock Bombardier, who I think I accidentally called Warlock Engineer earlier, activated, and he's got Doom Rockets, but they have a minimum range of 6 and a maximum of 15, so he has to be in a very precise kind of distance to make the most of that weapon, and he did. He shot from where he was, through cover, into the Lord Imperator, but he was already needing 5s and 6s anyway, so buffing him up to toughness 6 didn't really matter. Only 2 dice, strength 4, but 2/4 damage, and he was incredibly consistent across both attacks, getting only a single crit in both for 4 and then 4 more on his second attack action. Now, that puts the Lord Imperator at what? That's 18 and 21, 22. Actually, he's getting up there. I said he had 25 wounds earlier, he has 30. So he's still alive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, barely. I believe he has 3 wounds left. We'll do the maths in a second and consolidate this damage down. So stuck at the top of the table there, Leona activated and attacked into Poxlix twice in close combat. 2/4 damage on her staff, doing 8 wounds on the first assault and 6 on the second, managing to take the second ratty out of combat. It doesn't help them get towards that win, although I guess it does kind of, because it protects her now. She's only got the Deathmaster within immediate threat range, and he's tied up in combat with the Gryph-hound now. But the Stormcast have been having to react rather than proactively do things, so Skabic and Rabidus, who are the targets they need to take out, they're not in any danger right now. They've got a very nearly dead Lord Imperator, who does incidentally have just 3 wounds left near them, and that's it. Well, in an effort to utterly demoralise the Stormcast, the Skaven activated their mascot, Skritter, the little pet rat for Skabic's Plague Pack, who moves a massive 8 inches, which means he skittered through this little gap here in his tiny base, within an inch of the Lord Imperator, and attacked him to see if this little rat could murder a gigantic Stormcast. Eternal 1/3 damage, 3 attacks. 1 set of attacks, he needed to get 1 crit to be able to kill him. And actually his roll, if we pull back a little bit more, his roll was still there. He didn't get 1 crit, he got 2. So he actually did 6 damage. And as a result, Skritter took out the Lord Imperator. That is, that, as they say, is a thing that happened. Well, in an effort to start trying to put some pressure on the Skaven, the Praetor activated. It's just your kind of bog standard Stormcast soldier. He also only moves 4 though, so he did 2 movement actions to go from where he started to where you can see him now, and did nothing else. So starting down here next to the Bombardier, the Skaven activated Ricket, who did just 2 movement actions for a total of 12 inches. A lot faster than the Stormcast. We have to move up here to see where he ended up. He is not within 1 of the Gryph-hound, but he is getting there, and is again just trying to put some more pressure on Leona, because if she dies, the game is over in the Skaven's favour. Last activation of the second round for the Stormcast Eternals was Domatan, who spent their double on Aether Force, one of their specific ones. Until the end of the round, you add 1 to his toughness characteristic, which in this case isn't going to matter, but it would put him at toughness 6. More importantly though, it gives him 2 inches of extra movement, putting him at 6. So a 6-inch move got him to where you can see him, to the right of your screen there next to the bell. And he's got a minimum range 3, maximum range 7, threat radius that is, on the ability to chuck lightning bolts at people. So he targeted the Deathmaster. He is only rolling 2 dice, that's strength 4 though, and it's 3/6 damage. And he got a hit and a crit for a total of 9 wounds. So what happens to Irati when it gets struck by lightning? And it takes 9 wounds and gets vaporized, because it had 2 wounds left. So that is a massive threat off the table, specifically for Leona, but just in general as well. Those Deathmasters are scary, especially if you have a triple to play with. So that eases up the tension on Leona getting jumped. They still have to put pressure on the Skaven to go after their targets, but that buys them time. Well, that just left Skabic himself and Rabidus, the 2 targets that the Stormcast need to take out to activate, and they were scared little ratties and did double moves each, giving them 12 inches, running off into the alcove over here. That's Skabic, that's Rabidus, so forcing the Stormcast to have to waste activations chasing them, or actions chasing them. And that does take us to the end of the second round. No points on either side, obviously. As far as wounds go, Leona's still the only target that's wounded, but the Stormcast have managed to take out 3 rats now, compared to losing just the Lord Imperator, although granted, he is a pretty high point model to lose. And here is the dice roll results for the top of the third turn. Remember, from turn 4 onwards, if the targets are too close to the edges of the table, they're just going to count as dead, so they're going to have to kind of move towards the middle of his turn one way or another. The Skaven rolled just a natural double 6 there, with 4 singles. The Stormcast had a triple 5. They opted to make a single 6 into a double, and the Skaven made a double 5, giving the Skaven first activation once again. So let's see what they do. So to get the third round started, Ricket was activated. Now, he couldn't move directly to Leona because the Gryph-hound was there. He would be locked in combat if he got within an inch of that. But he had 6 inches to play with, and he can attack at range 2. So he went around that rock you can see on the left there. It does mean he's not trapping Leona in combat, but it did mean he could at least take swings at her. 3 dice, I believe, at strength 3. Wasn't able to roll through her toughness 5. She took it to the face and lived. Domatan was first up for the Stormcast, spending their double on Aether Force again, giving him those 2 extra inches of movement and toughness 6 for the turn. 6 movement got him right onto the middle of the well. It didn't put him 7 inches, or within 7 inches of Skabic, which is what he wanted, just out by the slimmest of margins. So in order to alleviate his frustrations, he shot death beams into the rat that killed the Lord Imperator, and managed to do 6 wounds to the 4 wound Skritter, and there's just like a charred just mark on the floor there now, where there used to be a little adorable rat. So probably laughing to himself as he went, the Bombardier activated and climbed up onto the platform you can see in the bottom left of your screen there, because thanks to his massive 15-inch maximum range from that vantage point up there, he can start firing doom rockets at Leona. And that's exactly what he did. Only one of them though, and this time around at least, he was not able to get past her toughness 5 and did 0 damage. Leona's being tanky at the exact right time. Unable to do much else, the Praetor activated and moved twice again, putting more pressure on the 2 Skaven targets, but not able to attack this turn. Well, Skabic decided to come forwards and meet the Praetor, but not close enough that they'd be locked in combat because he has range 2. So he stayed out of range 1, attacked from where he was with, I believe it's his staff. 4 dice, strength 3 I think, or 4, either way he was still going against toughness 5, so he needed 5s and 6s. He got 1 regular hit, 2 regular hits and 1 crit for a total across the 2/4 weapon of his for 8 damage to the Praetor. At the top end of the table, the Gryphound went into close combat with Ricket, attacking him once, not having that double this time, which he really felt, and was only able to get 3 normal hits through for a total of 3 damage of Ricket's 12 wounds, I believe. Final activation of the third round for the Skaven was Rabidus Skench, who also came out of hiding just so he was within 2 to attack the poor Praetor, and they are rolling good when they need to. In fact, if we pull back a little bit, his roll's still on the table. 1 successful normal hit and 2 crits for a total of 10 wounds, putting him at 18 in total of his 22, so he's got 4 wounds left, which does not look good. Although, did he end his turn within 4 of the edge? No, he did not. That was almost, he could have got eaten by the edge of a table, but nope. So now it's over to Leona to end off the round. And she's got to move from where she is or she'll get eaten. Well, knowing that she stays at range, she's just going to get bombarded by Doom Rockets. Leona activated and moved twice, not being hindered by anyone around her, and she can fly innately, to put herself right there, and hoping perhaps to fly up and lock the Bombardier in combat next turn. Although we'll have to be very careful with the movements there, because going into round 4, any of the targets that are within 4, it's either at the start or end of the round, double check that, will get instantly killed. It's not looking good for the Stormcast after a round where the Skaven lost heavily. The Praetor just getting so many crits put into him is lowering their, and Domitan having to take out a little rat instead of hitting one of the targets. They really need to get first action in round 4, but let's go roll some dice and see. And here's what happened with those. Incidentally, it is at the end of round 4 onwards that the 4-inch rule applies. The Skaven just rolled a double 4, giving them those 4 singles. The Stormcast rolled a natural triple, putting them at the disadvantage. They are not getting first activation, so they took a 5 and turned it into a double 5. The Skaven turned their double 4 into a triple 4. But yeah, Skaven are going first. Let's see what they can make out of their advantage. Well, for the Skaven, it was the Warlock Bombardier who activated, spending that triple they had, the triple 4, on lead from the back. Until the end of the battle round, add 1 to the attack characteristics of melee attack actions made by visible friendly fighters that are within 6 of him, i.e. Skabic and Rabidus are now +1 attack action, or +1 die if they do a melee attack action, which is range 2 for them, so they can. Then he just fired 2 Doom Rockets at Leona, the first one getting a crit and a hit for 6 wounds, the second whiffing entirely, so she's up to 7 damage now. She's still okay, but they really need to make something back now. They need to just push in and get them dead, I think. Well, for the Stormcast, in order to get some use out of him before he inevitably gets murdered, the Praetor activated, who, as it happens, is using a Soul Guard's Halberd, which is also range 2, so he didn't need to move. So he unleashed 2 sets of attacks into Rabidus because he's weaker than Skabic, number of wounds wise. Was very consistent across both, getting 2 hits for a total of 4, and then did the same again. Bit frustrated with that, he then spent their double on Blaze of Glory. They can only be used by a fighter that has 15 or more wounds on them, as in damage done to them. They get to do a bonus attack action, so he attacked for a 3rd time and stayed consistent and did the exact same amount of damage again, putting Rabidus at 12 wounds of, I think he has 14, hang on. Yeah, he has 14, so he's got 2 wounds left, but he wasn't quite able to finish the job. Only if he got 1 crit in any of those rolls, Rabidus would have been taken out, but didn't quite manage it. Well, Rabidus activated, taking a swing at the Praetor and doing 2 damage of the 4 he had left, I believe. Then he spent their triple on Poisonous Fumes, which is, I think only he and Skabic can do that. And for every enemy fighter within 3 of him, you roll a 3 plus on a single die, and if you get it, you do wounds equal to half the value of the dice spent. In this case, it was 4s, so it was doing 2 set wounds. The 3 plus went through, which means that was enough that the Praetor got finished off. So that means he still had another action left, so Rabidus has fled into the ruins here, outside of Domitan's immediate threat radius. He's going to have to come after him if he wants to try and finish him off. Well, Domitan happily stepped up to take that challenge, doing a movement action and then shooting some lightning bolts at Rabidus. Got a hit and a crit, didn't bother adding the damage down because obviously that's more than enough. When he had 2 left, that Rabidus is out of there. So that just means Skabic has to die, but he is tougher than your average Skaven. I think he's got 20 wounds. So Leona is actually closer to death than he is. But if he is able to get taken down, and he hasn't activated yet, it's either him or the one at the top there, whose name I'm blanking on in a minute. But he can't he can't run away this way because he would just die at the end of the turn. He can't really run that way because if he can't get past Domitan without going within an inch, if he goes through that door there, he's setting himself up to get attacked by Leona. So his options are a bit limited. He might just have to attack and hope that he does as well as his dead brethren have been doing. We'll see. Come back in a second. Skabic decided his best chance was to activate now and try and go after Leona because she would have got to him anyway, no matter which direction he went in, because she can fly. So he skittered through the door here, got her within 2 inches and took some swings at her and did no damage, which could be the turning point here. Leona can just engage, I think, at 2 inches as well with her spear. So if she's able to do some decent damage, then the outcome of the fight up here doesn't matter as much. I guess we'll see. The Griffhound was the one to activate first though, because Leona isn't in any danger now since everyone else is activated except the person the Griffhound is engaged with. Ricket, Itchit, Ricket, their names. He attacked twice, didn't do well in his rolls again and didn't have that double to fall back on for a third try. 2 damage in his first set of attacks, 3 damage, no crits at all across any of that. In total that puts him at 6, 7, 8 wounds of his 12, so he is getting there, but he gets an activation and it's him now. Well, it's hard to see him because he's so small compared to her, but Ricket chose to do a disengage action followed by a movement action to get into within an inch of Leona. He's right behind her wanting to stab her in the back and hold her in place so she can't just move freely. Now again, I think she does have range 2 on her basic attacks, and I believe that means she would still be allowed to attack Skabic, but it does mean she isn't freely able to run away if things go bad at the top of turn 5. So how well she rolls in a second, because it's over to her to end the round, really, really matters. Oh boy, did Leona come out swinging, going up against a tougher than your average rat. Skabic is toughness 4, not toughness 3, and she's attacking at strength 4. So she needed 4 pluses, but she chose violence, probably because of that stuff that happened to the Lord Imperatant. Her first set of attacks had 2 hits and a crit through for a total of 8 wounds. Her second set of attacks had 2 crits and a hit for a total of 10 wounds, putting Skabic 18 deep into his 20. So he has 2 wounds left to Leona having like 16 or something like that. So it's everything to play for as we go into what's most likely going to be the final round, round 5. Neither of them are close enough that the end of the table is going to kill them or anything like that. The Stormcast just need first activation. Leona could finish him off herself. Domitan could probably manage it too. They need to get first activation. It's all going to come down to this dice roll now that we go into for round 5. So at the top of round 5, it all comes down to the dice, and it really, really does. Double check the wording, and it is as soon as one hammer is completely wiped out, the other side is declared the winner. It isn't like at the end of the round, so it could feasibly be a draw if both sides lose everything. Nope, it's as soon as one side has fully lost their hammer. So it really mattered how this roll turned out, and it was a weird one. The Skaven rolled 3 doubles as their initial roll, but the Stormcast rolled a quad and a double, so neither of them had any singles. So it was going to come down to a roll off regardless. So the Skaven made a 666 and the Stormcast made a 222. It came down to literally just a roll for each side, and the Stormcast finally had one go in their favour. They are going first. We finally see a quad on the table, and it had to be a quad 1, of course, because of course it had to. And I don't know if that helps them or not. I think the default normal quad from the rulebook that everybody has access to, Rampage it's called, I believe. I don't think the value of the quad matters. I think just having the quad matters, and that will help out. It's either +1 strength or +1 attack, plus a move. That might be enough to swing it. Leona is definitely going to activate first and just try and kill Skabic, because if she does it, it's over. So let's go see what happens and whether or not that quad gets used, because this could be it right here. If she whiffs entirely though, it could absolutely still go the other way. Well, that was certainly abrupt. Leona activated, she swung into Skabic, got a hit and a crit for 6 wounds, and that took him out. He's out of there. Didn't even need the quad. The Rampage would have been a bonus move followed by a bonus attack, so she would have had 3 attacks on him in total. There is a Stormcast, or sorry, there is a Indomitan Storm Coven unique quad that she could have done, but that one does place value on the value of the quads, where you pick a point in the battlefield within 12 roll dice or something like that, equal to the value of the ability, and then you have chances to do wounds to everything in that area. So because it was a 1, it would be worthless, basically. So no dropping a gigantic lightning explosion with that quad. No need to use it at all, as it happens, because with Skabic dead, I guess the morale of the Skaven break, and they are the victors for once. Well, I don't know if there's much to celebrate with only 3 of them left on the table, losing the Lord Impertinent to a little pet rat, and then that Praetor who, to be fair, I mean, he took a beating to the face and kept kicking. It's just a shame he couldn't quite finish Rabidus in that one round of combat, because that would have made things a lot smoother for them. But I guess it doesn't matter because they did win in the end. So that is going to conclude another Warcry battle report for the channel. I sincerely hope you enjoyed, and thank you again to my channel members who get to see these early. I appreciate the extra support, it helps keep this possible. On that note, if you would like to show support in an above and beyond fashion, above and a beyond, I'm pretty sure I just said there, consider becoming a channel member, or you could press the thanks button, or you could follow the affiliate link in the description box through to my channel sponsor. They do have some Warcry stuff, they have stuff for basically every game I cover on the channel here. And it's worth having a look at Noble Knight Games for that kind of thing, and if you buy anything via that link, I will be compensated. So if you want a way of supporting the channel but also just picking up something for yourself, that would be the way to do it. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you next time for some more Warcry. Until then, ta-ta for now.